Facebook. We're recording. Let's go. So, welcome. Those of you who took the time out to be here, your time is precious. We appreciate that. We're so excited that you were able to join us tonight. And for people who get to see the replay or get to see this on Facebook Live, we're excited that you're watching us. I am Dr. Tiffany Marie, a real medical doctor, practiced for 20 years in urgent care, private practice, telemedicine. And that telemedicine time was taking care of 48 states. Yeah, people in 48 states. So I got to see just how sick or just how real this metabolic health crisis is. And you know what? It's not nice. It is hurting our loved ones. It's hurting our friends. It's hurting people we don't know. It's hurting people across the world. It no longer is just a in my back office or in my backyard thing. It is affecting so many people. So that's why we're out here spilling the tea. So after doing that and deciding I wanted to get into lifestyle medicine about going at the root causes of conditions, I ended up running into someone that started talking about some natural tools to make those lifestyle changes easier. And here I am on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and any platform that'll let me in person or on the computer. Okay. I love being able to share what I found out to be true and what has saved my life, as well as my family members, my friends, and so many other people. And along the way, I got to meet this wonderful doctor here, a like-minded individual, somebody who understands the pain we feel as physicians, but has been able to help so many people. And I get to do this live with her every Wednesday. So, Dr. Esther, let the people know who you are.
Thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Well, how can I follow all that enthusiasm? My name is Dr. Esther Ngare. I am a board certified family medicine physician practicing out of Houston, Texas. And as Dr. Tiffany said, after many years of practicing and always feeling like my work was listen and start a medication, have patients come in and give them another one, and next time come in and add another one to solve the side effect of one, and always wondering, when does it end? Like, is this what this is supposed to be? And then, of course, time doesn't wait for anyone. And that time started catching up with me. And I realized, well, if I don't do something, I'm going to be in the same situation as my patients and have to start on those medications. And that scared me because, again, being in that front seat and seeing what happens, you kind of know when you start that first pill, what's going to happen. It's going to be another one and another one. And honestly, I wasn't ready for that. And, I say sometimes when you put it out there, what it is that you would look for, sometimes it has a way of finding you. And it found me last year, 2025, Martin Luther King Day. I got on a call like this during the day, and I had Dr. Tiffany speaking. I was invited by Josephine to that call. And honestly, I went there, and this is a good thing. Support your friends, because I went there without any expectation. I was just going because my friend Josephine, asked for people to come and join her call. And I said I was free. I was going to be there and be a supportive friend. But in supporting my friend, I changed my life, and it changed the life of so many people around me. So, that's the first time I heard about this, and it changed my own life. Things that I thought I was going to be stuck with, or a future that I thought was going to be my fate, having watched my mom struggle with diabetes, glaucoma runs in the family, and just thinking, well, this is it. This is what we're going to go through, high blood pressure. And I'm blown away by the fact that these things do not have to be that way. And also blown away by the fact that even after so many years of practicing as a physician, that this information, much as you would think it is out there, but that's not the way. You find that the training and the practice of medicine has been geared towards control of symptoms rather than actually fixing the problem. And when you think about it, he who has the money gets the favors. So there's no money to be made when people are not sick. That whole healthcare industry would collapse as it is right now, because it is a sick care industry. It's not a healthcare industry. So to make it a healthcare industry, we really need to start from home, from ourselves. And I just saw the other day someone say that healthcare does not happen within the four walls of a hospital or the four walls of a clinic. It happens at home. It happens in our communities. It happens in our churches. It happens in our friend groups. It happens in those book clubs, in those sisterhood, in those men's groups. That's where healthcare happens, when we share. And, taking it from there and realizing that this was too big a message to stay within the four walls of my clinic, I decided I am going to do this bigger than just my patients. And I am glad Dr. Tiffany pushed me out of my comfort zone, and here I am, and we are spilling the tea, because this is tea that needs to be spilled to everyone, and I couldn't be happier doing this. So.
Yes, I did. I literally pushed her out. I said, "We're doing this, Dr. Esther."
Yeah.
Oh, I can be a little bossy.
It wasn't a suggestion. It was kind of like, okay, we're doing this. When are we starting? Like, huh?
And you have done marvelously. You have done marvelously. And so, yes, I am that friend. I am that friend. If you ever need somebody to give you a push, I'm the one. I'm the one. So I appreciate you agreeing and not fighting me, because the reality is you have a heart. You have a heart for people getting better. You have a heart for people having good health. And so once we link up with that, we can do anything. I mean, I have this picture of me with a cape, because I feel like, I'm like, that's super Dr. Tiffany. So I think I can do anything. So yes, we can. We can do anything. But before I go off on the rails, because clearly I can, I'm gonna reel it in a little bit, because tonight we have a guest that we don't often see on some of our calls. And she has a wonderful story. People don't realize they see her, because every time I'm doing a live on TikTok, on Zoom, even my video that talks about the natural products I love, that 4,000 people have seen, by the way, Miss Katherine. 4,000 people, okay? So when I tell you, you are actually somebody, awesome. She's somebody that it's been seeing so many places, but not only that, she has her own jingle. Okay, she has her own jingle, and it's so adorable.
I had to.
I might get her to sing that jingle at the end, but she actually agreed to come on here and tell her testimony. So when I first found out about these products, my hashtag is literally less prescriptions, more living. So when I come across people who are doing that, who are actually making these changes, and sometimes they don't make diet changes. Miss Catherine's going to tell you her story. Sometimes they just add these tools, and so many things happen. And so thank you so much for coming on here, Miss Katherine, and sharing your story, because it is needed. And so I'm gonna move out the way and let you have the stage for you to tell us where you were when you found the products, what the products have done for you, and why you're so excited to tell people about it. But at the same time, we're staying in the product lane on why these products are so great. Okay.
Right. No problem. All right. Thank you. My name's Katherine. Like she said, I'm coming to you guys from Columbus, Ohio. And I've been on these tools. I actually found them almost 4 years ago. I had just come back from visiting my brother, family kind of reunion. It was his birthday. He's the oldest of the siblings. And we were celebrating his birthday, and you take the pictures, then when you get back, you look at the pictures, and it was like, oh my God, I need to go on another diet. And I already knew that, but I kind of started giving up on dieting, because dieting had not worked for me. I've been dieting since I was 15. I think I dieted up to the weight that I was. I'd lose a few pounds and then gain those back, and then gain a few more. And then the next diet came along, and then I do the all over again and lose a few, gain back more. So I just kind of dieted my way up. So when I first started seeing these tools, I got on TikTok. Actually, I've been on TikTok for about 3 years. Got on here to see my grandkids, because they live in a different state, and my daughter-in-law is kind of an influencer. So I figured she'll be doing videos. I'll get to see them through the videos that she's going to do. So when I started seeing these products, and every time I saw them, everybody had their before and after pictures up there of weight loss. And I was like, when I really don't want to lose, I don't want to go on a diet. I need to lose weight, but diets hadn't worked. So I was just feeling like if I could just stay where I was weight wise, I'll be okay with it. I'm just going to deal with it. So I pushed it to the side, and I just started watching other things. That's what I got on TikTok for.
Can you add me to the album, please?
So I started watching other videos, and then fast forward a couple of months, I ended up going to my dentist, and routine procedure, she was going to do a filling, I think, or something. So she checked my blood pressure, and my blood pressure happened to be elevated. I was already on blood pressure medicine, had been on blood pressure medicine for 21 years. At the time, my blood pressure was averaging around 138 for systolic top number. Bottom number, I don't remember this particular day, but it typically averaged around high 80s, low 90s. I was on 2 medications, telmisartan with a water pill, hydrochlorothiazide, and I was on amlodipine, 5 milligrams. And so when my blood pressure was elevated, I wasn't too concerned. I'm like, well, I'm on the blood pressure pills. She's like, oh, your blood pressure's up. You need to let your doctor know. So I just told her, yeah, I'll tell him, just to shut her up. I wasn't going to tell him because I felt like I got blood pressure medicine. It'll take it down. It's just a blip. Blood pressure blips up sometimes. But literally the very next week was my doctor's appointment. And when he took it that time, there was again almost exact same blood pressure. And that's when I kind of started thinking, we probably better get ahead of this just in case something's going to go off the rails. It was 165 and 168 was the top number. I don't remember the bottom number, but like I said, typically it averaged around high 80s, low 90s. So since I don't remember, it must have been normal, typical for me. So, but that top number was kind of high. So when I went to my doctor, he took it and it was up again or still up. And that's the part I didn't know. I didn't know if it had stayed up the whole time from the last week when I was at the dentist that whole week, or it had went back down and came back up. So since I didn't know, I said, I probably better let him know just in case, like I said, so we can get ahead of whatever's getting ready to happen. And soon as I said, well, last week when I was at the dentist office, my blood pressure was elevated too. And I said it was almost the exact same amount. And she said, I should let you know. I mean, before I even got the word no out my mouth, he was in my chart and he was flipping through real fast, like, oh my goodness, we need to do something. What can we do? So he kind of lands like he's spinning the wheel. And I know he was using, his education, but it just felt so random. Like he was just spinning the wheel. And he said, oh, we can double this one. And so he picked out the amlodipine. I was on 5 milligrams. He doubled it. He didn't ask me what was going on in that. And I didn't even think about it at the time. I just said, okay, well, that's what usually happens when I come to my doctor's office. Bad news, get more medicine. So I really wasn't super surprised when he doubled it, but because that's the way we had typically worked in the past. He would tell me, I hear this is happening, so we got to do this. I'd be like, okay, and I'd do that and move on. But for some reason, when I left the doctor's office this time, I started thinking, man, I flashed, I saw a whole bucket of pills coming my way, and I kind of thought, I'm going to end up on a whole bucket of medication if I don't watch it. So I'm going to have to do something. I'm probably going to do that diet I saw on TikTok. So I came back and started really educating myself, going into the lives and listening to what they were saying about these products, and diet or not, I said, I'm going to have to do it. So I really started listening, and I happily found out it wasn't a diet, found out it was all natural, found out all this good stuff about it. So I'm like, and the last thing that made me pick the phone up was it was guaranteed, a money back guarantee. I'm like, I'm there. So I ordered it, and I kept educating myself because I obviously didn't know a lot about my health. And did not know I could get off of medication, didn't know I could reverse some of these things. So I started learning all this stuff, even about my medication, about insulin resistance, had heard that term before, never knew I was. Just thought I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes. I mean, I thought I just had the illnesses, didn't know I had that too. So I thought it was a whole different thing. But like I said, I ended up educating myself and got on these tools, and almost immediately started seeing some results. Like within the very first night, I went to bed and went to sleep. And I always tell that story because before that, the night before, I went to bed and I would lay there for the next 3-4 hours, just tossing and turning, counting sheep, pigs, cows, whatever. I just couldn't turn the brain off, couldn't go to sleep. That very first night, went to bed, went to sleep. First morning, woke up without my alarm. I had built in 3 snoozes, so I had set my alarm early just because of that. When I'd wake up, I never couldn't get up, so I'd always have to hit the snooze, hit the snooze, hit the snooze. Very first morning, I woke up before my alarm went off, and I was like, "Oh my God, did I oversleep?" But I woke up before the alarm. I was energized. I was okay. It was fine. So I'm like, wow. And then within a couple of days, my rings kept turning. Every time I'd be walking, I'm like, and looking around, I'd be like, why are my rings all turning around? So I just turn them back around and keep on going. And within 1 week, I was outside my busy hospital that I worked at. And I threw a paper towel away, and the ring on my index finger went right off with it. And that's when the bell went off in my head, like, oh, I'm losing fat in my fingers. And then I was like, that was awesome. And then I had to start putting my belt back further, the further holes, and then I had to add holes to that belt. All these are videos because I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Within 3 months, I went to the doctor, and I had lost 34 pounds. The nurse said, oh, your cholesterol looks good. I'm like, really? Because I didn't know anything about my numbers, hadn't looked at cholesterol, didn't have a clue. But if she said it was good, I was like, all right, awesome. And my A1c, which had been previously sitting at 6.3 for about 3 years, it would go down every now and then. I'd go in. I was seeing my doctor 4 times a year. Every 3 months, I was in my doctor's office. And every now and then, my A1c would be 6.1, sometimes 6.2. But then next time I come back, it'd be back up to 6.3. So it basically was sitting there for like 3 years, not moving. When I came in December to my first doctor's appointment after being on these tools for 3 months, it was down to 6.0, and I was holding my breath because I was like, oh my God, I didn't believe it. So I said it'd probably go back up when I come back in March, but it didn't. When I came back in March, it went down even further to 5.5. By then, I think I was starting to, I'd lost 10, I was averaging 10 pounds a month, no dieting, easiest thing I've ever done, and was feeling better. And all these things was happening. And then when I came back in March, A1c was down to 5.5. I knew I was in there good. So everything was happening awesomely. A1c continued to come down to 4.9 is the lowest it got. It stayed there for almost 9 months. Went back up to 5.1, where it's been now for 2 years. Ever since 2024, well, it'll be 2 years this summer. But ever since then, I've been off of my metformin. I'm used to saying Foreman because I do lives. You can't say the whole drug. But been off of that now for over 2 years, and I love it because I didn't even know, like I said, when I first started going into lives, that's when I started learning about my medicine. And they would say things like, oh, no, I told my doc I wasn't getting on that metformin because it leads to renal failure. It kills your kidneys. It causes nausea. And I said, I didn't have none of those side effects. Why are they lying? And then I'd go into another live and somebody else would almost say the same thing. Oh no, metformin leads to dialysis. I'm like, they're lying. My doc never told me that. And my doctor had never told me that. I don't never remember reading that. I had no clue of that. And I'd been on that drug by the time I found these tools 15 years. So I was nervous because my whole philosophy was, if I don't do nothing else, I can take my medication as prescribed. So I never missed a dosage of my medication. And I was on 1,000 milligrams of metformin, 500 every morning, 500 every night. So I was nervous. I'm thinking, oh my God, I've been on this for 15 years. If it's killing my kidneys, next time I go in there, he could very well say, oh, sorry, we got to send you over to dialysis. So I was motivated by any means to get off of that medication. So I was so excited when my numbers started coming down and I finally got off of it. So I love that. And the same thing with the statin. Didn't have any problems with the statins, but started getting achy like 9 years in. I'd been on them for 12 years, 9 years into it, just started getting achy all over. And I would tell my doctor when I would go see him every 3 months, he'd say, anything going on? I'm like, yeah, I've just been achy lately. Been using a lot of Voltaren gel or diclofenac, and taking a lot of over-the-counter pain reliever. And he would say, well, I can write you a muscle relaxer. I can give you a pain reliever. And I'm like, nah, I already taken care of it with that, so I'll just keep using that. But that was his only solution. After my cholesterol numbers got better, my LDL is a beautiful 67. My triglycerides are 57. I love it. And I got my HDL. It only went up to 65, but I'm happy because it used to just kind of hang out in the 40s. So I'm happy with the 65. So I was able to get off the statin. Then miraculously, all the pain went away. So I'm like, Every time I would come in, though, I would tell him that. And he never said, I wonder if it's the statin. Now, I don't even know if it was the statin. I just know when I got off the statin, the pain went away. So I'm thinking, yes, it had to be the statin. So I'm just happy that I reversed my high cholesterol and I reversed my type 2 diabetes. I am no longer diabetic, y'all. I love that. I love saying that. I got to get a t-shirt. And I lost 88 pounds with no dieting, over 54.5 inches. My weight kind of slowed down, but the inches are still kind of coming off here and there. So I'm still happy. I love it. It's been the best thing ever. And so, of course, you can't shut up when you get these kind of results. So none of us. So I've been telling everybody that I could tell as well. And got a lot of people enough signed up that I could retire early. So that's huge. Typically, I would not have been able to retire until this October coming. And that would have been the early retirement. At that point, I would have basically probably been forcing it. So luckily helping enough people that I was able to move it up. I retired at the end of January, so 3 months ago, and it's been awesome. So I love it. Thank you, Camino.
Awesome.
So it's been great. I love it. I'm never getting off of it. It's been the best thing ever. I don't know
Well, I
what
gotta
else.
show him. I gotta
Thank
show
you.
him my before and after I do have. And at this point, I
Yeah.
know you got another picture. I know you have another one.
I
But
don't take pictures, but I got to get one. I do. I plan to. I just have it.
I love how the after picture, we're like really cute in that after picture because we know we look good. We're like,
That's my birthday. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. I will get a new one up and let you know, get it to you. So once I get one.
now
Thank
you're
you.
off of 4 medicines, is what I think you corrected me one time.
Yeah, I got off
Four
of
medication.
metformin. I was on 1,000 milligrams. I got off of my torvastatin. I was on for 10, 12 years. That was only 10 milligrams, but still it was causing some issues. Like I said, the muscle aches and back pains. He gave me Januvia somewhere about 3, 4 years ago before I got on this system. And I think it was for my diabetes. When I went and looked it up, I think that's what it was for. But at the time, I only remember getting it. It was just there.
Mm, mm.
And then I was on the amlodipine that was 5 milligrams. He doubled it to 10. And within 6 months, it had to go back down to 5 with a warning. Well, if your blood pressure ever gets back up in the 140s over 90s, I want you to double that amlodipine back. I have not had to double it, and in fact, have gone on to get off of it. So I love it. I love this system. I love that I'm off of the metformin and not killing my kidneys, because that was scary. I didn't know it.
Yes.
And that's what was scary about it, because I didn't know. And the statin, I'm glad I'm off of because of the pain it was causing. I didn't even know that it was caused by that. I don't know now. I just know that it's gone when I got off the statin. So loving the results, never, ever, ever stopping. It's been 43 months. It'll be 43 months from there and 43 months from there and so on. Never getting off. Love it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And
You're
see what
welcome.
happens? We love what we're doing so much. You can't get us off the mic. And so if you don't
That is
follow,
amazing.
if you don't follow Miss Katherine, definitely follow her on TikTok,
Absolutely.
Facebook, Instagram. She's on all the social media platforms. We're gonna get her to come back because she's gonna
Yeah.
sing us her song, y'all. Y'all gotta hear this song. It is so cute.
Oh, thank
But
you.
it is so cute. But since, Katherine went into, her experience, which has been amazing, let's talk
Mhm.
about the science behind this. And I'm gonna try not to hold you all too long, but what happens is sometimes we get a little excited. So I'm gonna try to run through this and not keep us too long because our time is precious. It's precious, it's precious. And we should be able to see my screen. I just gotta fix my yeah. Okay, great. I got it. You guys see that, right, Dr. Esther?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Perfect. Wanted to make sure. So beyond the A1c, metabolic and endocrine health for peak performance, because that's what we're talking about here. And so, Katherine went through a lot about the metformin and the sugar, but insulin resistance isn't just about that, like she also alluded to, the cholesterol, the blood pressure. So a lot of times we see insulin resistance and we're thinking, oh, I don't have diabetes, I'm good. Well, unfortunately, we had studies that showed that 93% of us are definitely struggling with metabolic health issues. Only 7% of us are not. And that was 2022. Those numbers have not gotten better, people. So it's important for us to understand that this is a big umbrella that so many things fall under. So insulin is a hormone that plays a huge role in fuel switching. Okay, and it regulates our energy usage, whether or not we're going to fat storage mode or if we go into sugar breakdown mode. Okay, now how do we get there? How does this even start? Well, the refined carbs. Okay, and when I say refined carbohydrates, I'm talking about those processed carbohydrates. I'm talking about those foods in the middle of the grocery store. I'm talking about those things when you look at the back of the box and the rest of those ingredients start to look like science projects. Yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff that's actually killing us. I'm talking about eating those carbohydrates more frequently. So your pancreas is an organ behind your stomach, and when you eat, it's going to release some insulin depending on what you're eating. Now, fats, very negligible amount of insulin that it releases. Protein is going to release some, but carbohydrates, it really releases a lot because it needs to get that insulin to get that glucose, which is what that carbohydrate breaks into the cells. Okay. So if you're eating carbohydrates frequently, or you're eating these refined carbohydrates, these ultra processed carbohydrates, you're going to keep your insulin high. And that's where the problem starts. And so since the insulin is high and it's having too much, the cells are being bombarded by it, those cells start to become less responsive. So those are the two issues with insulin resistance. You have the cells not responding and too high insulin in the bloodstream. Okay, that's where the problem happens. When that insulin is high in the bloodstream, it makes those fat cells grow. It makes those fat cells grow because that's where it starts to stuff that excess glucose into those fat cells and really around the midsection, around those organs, that visceral fat. That's the fat that actually kills us. And so how do we also get the gut involved? Well, insulin resistance is like inflammation's ugly twin sister. They are hand in hand. And that inflammation starts to drive things like gut dysbiosis, leaky gut. That inflammation starts to break down the lining, the walls of the gut, and things start to leak out that shouldn't be there. You get, and then you get worsening of inflammation, but you actually worsen and weaken the immune system is what happens. So you have stuff leaking out into the abdominal cavities. Your body doesn't know what to attack. And so its immune system has actually gotten impaired by this insulin resistance, this inflammation. And so now your poor body's attacking everything. And that's where you get things like those autoimmune conditions, okay? Things like the lupus, things like the multiple sclerosis, things like the Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune condition of the thyroid gland. So many of these things get triggered by this inflammation and this leaky gut problem. And so it also affects our mood and our focus. Well, considering that, shoot, 90% of our serotonin comes from the gut, yeah, that stands to make sense. So serotonin is a neurotransmitter that plays a huge role in anxiety and mood, depression. And so if you're eating the wrong things, you can actually be affecting your mood negatively. Just like if you eat the right things, you can affect your mood positively. And so we find that restoring the gut health actually starts to reverse these conditions we think that are chronic. It actually starts to turn the clock back on these things, on our mood, on our blood pressure, on our cholesterol. It starts to help. We get mental clarity. All these things that we think aren't related to the gut absolutely are. It starts to reverse some of those autoimmune conditions. We have people that are dealing with autoimmune conditions that once they actually start treating their gut with the things that feed the positive bacteria, they're seeing improvement and needing less of those autoimmune medications. Okay. So what are the signs and symptoms of insulin resistance? Constant hunger and cravings, that persistent desire to always feel like you need to snack. And then the fatigue after meals, the itis, that slump that so many people get on Sunday. We got Mother's Day coming up. So many people are going to be going to lunch, having a meal. It's going to be heavy in carbohydrates. Next thing you know, people are going to need a nap. Okay, that's not normal. That means those carbohydrates got too high. And now because your insulin's high, it's dropping that glucose so quickly. Now you're hypoglycemic for a short period of time as your body adjusts. That's what brings on that fatigue, okay? The brain fog, the anxiety, the depression, the belly fat, the visceral fat, because I told you that's where that fat is stored when that insulin is high, around the midsection. Difficulty losing weight, because if you don't really address the insulin, you can diet, cut out all the calories, you can be on a treadmill, running like a hamster on a hamster wheel, but if you don't address the insulin, that weight's not going to move like you want it to do. And so we have so many people frustrated. That's why we have so many people frustrated, and they're like, I'm not doing another diet, just like Miss Katherine said when she gave her testimony. In fact, there's somebody that we work with that's like, dieting sucks. And you're absolutely right, it sucks. How about we eat to feed our hormones the way we need to? We eat to feed the insulin the way we need to. And that means just tweaking some things, or using these tools we love, right? High blood pressure, abnormal triglycerides, and HDL, because when insulin's high, it makes the liver increase those triglycerides and lower the HDL. Okay. Skin tags, that's something people discount and think, oh, my aunt had them, my grandmother had them, I'm just going to have them. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, if we actually get down the insulin, we're seeing these skin tags fall off. I have people send me tags. Oh, by the way, that skin tag under my arm is no longer there. And, at first I was like, oh, okay. But no, this kept happening because insulin can act like a growth hormone. And so those tags start to grow up. Those layers of skin start to make dark patches on the neck. That's not dirt, people. And then the hormonal issues. You have the polycystic ovarian syndrome, the leading cause of infertility for women. That's that poor insulin so high that now it's affecting the ovaries. Now it's not allowing the ovaries to work like they should. They aren't dropping the eggs like they should. So these women aren't able to get pregnant, or they have irregular cycles. They have heavy menses, or they have abnormal or missing cycles, or hair growth, or increased testosterone. And then poor sleep and low energy. Yeah, all these things. And so if you look at this, it starts to look like, well, shoot, what isn't related, right? And then let's talk about the diseases, okay? Heart disease. Well, we talked about the visceral fat. We talked about the inflammation. Well, when you have that insulin and you have that high glucose that eventually starts to develop, it also causes oxidative stress, which is the leading link to cardiovascular disease. But your risk for cardiovascular disease start way before we start diagnosing you with prediabetes and diabetes. Oh no, this starts when your A1c is at 5.0. Yeah. And if that shocks you a little bit, it should, because that's not where we're asking people to get their A1Cs too, not according to the American Diabetes Association. So I actually recommend my members to get their A1C even lower than what their doctor was recommended. Then the development of fatty liver, because when insulin's high, it makes the liver make more fat, more cholesterol. And so you have this whole train of effects that happen with this fatty liver. And fatty liver used to be just an alcoholic issue. Not anymore. No, no, no. We have kids getting fatty liver and they're not drinking. So clearly something with what we're doing, the fructose and the sodas and the juices, yeah, they are actually causing this fatty liver, as well as these refined carbohydrates. Now, and then the link to dementia. Now, Alzheimer's disease is being called type 3 diabetes because it's linked to insulin resistance. That's insulin resistance of the brain. So I have people that are like, you mean to tell me if I change my diet and my lifestyle? There are actually retreats and camps across the country that focus on changing how you're eating, getting rid of those refined carbohydrates to improve Alzheimer's disease, to improve dementia. So yes, there is science on this stuff and people are applying it. The great thing is we have natural products that make those changes easier. And then I talked about the exacerbation of autoimmune conditions. Now, chronic pain and arthritis, because inflammation is insulin resistance ugly twin sister, yeah, it's going to cause this joint pain and arthritis, okay? Decreased mobility. It's amazing how when you start using these tools and decreasing that insulin, that improves. And then erectile dysfunction. I know I have a lot of ladies on this call, but the reality is we're the ones leading the healthcare usually. We're the ones making the men in our lives go to the doctor. And the one thing that makes them come in there is erectile dysfunction. They don't want to have that problem, but they also don't want to tell their doctor about it to the very last second. It was like my doorknob question. By the way, Dr. Tiffany. And so this is a real issue, and it's related to those blood vessels getting thickened, also not dilating like they should because the insulin's too high. The same problem that causes the high blood pressure affects the erectile dysfunction, and that's quality of life issues. And why does A1C miss the full picture? It's because it's waiting until the sugars are high. But like I said, 5.0 is where cardiovascular disease starts. But the rest of these things can happen with a normal A1C. You can go to your doctor with all those complaints, and it's not going to show up in the traditional labs unless they start looking at these things here: a fasting insulin level, a triglyceride and HDL ratio. That's going to give you an idea of whether or not there's insulin resistance. That's called a insulin resistance ratio. And so if you divide that out, if you're over 2, yeah, insulin resistance seems very likely. If you're over 3, oh yes, you need to be dealing with these things we're going to talk about, these lifestyle changes and these tools we use, the waist circumference, the inflammatory markers, because again, inflammation is insulin resistance, ugly sister, right? And then the symptom patterns that we talked about. And then there's other tests too, but they include getting a fasting insulin. And so my final thoughts. My hashtag is less prescriptions, more living. I am really here to see people need less meds like Katherine. All 4 medications. Love that. I spent too many years writing them and people didn't look as good as Miss Katherine does. Okay. So that is, yes, ma'am. So that is what I push to do. And this is what inspires me every day. And I want to leave you with this. Your body isn't broken. You just need the right tips and tools. Because the reality is, if you want to white knuckle this, you want to do the lifestyle changes, you want to diet like, Miss Katherine said she wasn't going to do. And I already told you dieting sucks. You can. It's like having a fist fight. You're white knuckling and you're working really hard. But these tools are like bringing a knife to a fist fight. That's what that is. A knife to a fist fight. And when you do that, that's when you start to see some miraculous things. You get to see people have changes that just don't make sense. So my girlfriend here, she wanted to tell me, okay, look, I'm the 7%. Like I told you in 2022, we had a study that said 7% of Americans are metabolically healthy. 7%. 7, right? That means 93% of us are struggling. And that was 2022. And that math has, I'm sure, gotten worse, right? So she was like, look, I'm somebody who jumps out of a plane. I eat all the veggies. I am healthy. I work out. I do 100 jumping jacks every morning. I know I don't have insulin resistance. And so we looked at these. She was like, okay, but wait a minute. You said something about skin tags. Okay. I have skin tags. My aunt, my uncle, my grandma has skin tags. That's just genetic. And so she wanted to prove me wrong and took a picture on May 2nd. Well, come June 24th, she was like, oh, Okay. So, Dr. Tiffany, you are saying something here. There is something about this insulin resistance you're talking about. I said, yes, ma'am, there is. And she did that by adding these tools to her already healthy lifestyle. And then here, somebody 73 years old, this is Claudia, on diabetic medications for 23 years. And after 7 months of applying these tools, able to get off her meds. Crystal, a nurse, an RN. So you know how we are in healthcare. We know everything. It's kind of hard to tell as much anything. But after you keep bouncing from doctor to doctor and nobody's really helping your symptoms, she was having those leaky gut symptoms, those abdominal pain symptoms, and she had Hashimoto's, her thyroid, that autoimmune condition for the thyroid condition. Her antibodies were so high for her thyroid, and she was on all these medications, and she was on 15 meds, and she was in her 50s. She said, no, this is just too much. She started doing the tools. She was able to get off of 13 of her medications and decrease her Synthroid dosage. Okay, and then we have a teen here. So when I say anybody can actually apply these tools, they can. A teenager who did not want to keep having these unsightly back knee scars, this acne on his back. And he started using the products and was able to help decrease that inflammation. You see, help with the redness. Of course, a teen loved this, but I know some adults that would love it too. Now, Keith has a very remarkable story, had some awful ulcers, more than one, so much so that he ended up being put in the hospital and coding, meaning his heart stopped. And they had to bring him back after they called his daughter. Okay. They called his daughter to tell her that he passed, and then they brought him back. Okay. They did all the things to bring him back. Okay. How scary is that, right? But he got a new lease on life. And he no longer has to have a big bucket of medications. He was able to get off of his insulin in a few days. He was on 108 units of insulin, was able to get off of that in a few days, and then lose about 100 pounds. I mean, his story is remarkable. And so we have people who are dealing with endometriosis, they're dealing with PCOS and anxiety and brain fog and just getting some weight down around the midsection, like Michelle, 4 months, love it. Dr. Dieter, another medical doctor who understood the call and said, okay, his first picture, he was running, he was doing intermittent fasting. So he was doing all the things, but he still wasn't quite where he wanted to be. His cholesterol was still a little bit higher than he wanted it to be. So after 2.5 months, you see that picture on the right? It's like he aged backwards, but his cholesterol profile, in fact, he's supposed to give me some updated slide. His cholesterol has gone down about 100 points in a year. That is not something we see on a regular basis. And Dr. Esther, I love how she had the same dress and took her picture in the same dress. She said, I'm going to show y'all some real results. Okay. I want y'all to see. I'm not faking. And Dr. Esther is going to tell us her story when she comes on. And Jim with an A1c of 12.2 down to 4.8. No more high blood pressure, IBS, acid reflux. I mean, down to pant sizes. I love this. And this is a couple that actually did this together, and I'm going to have to pull off. You see, I wouldn't get to talking too much. But Jackie lost 124 pounds, and she's still keeping it off. Reversed her prediabetes. Her hubby lost 110 pounds and off all his meds, A1c from 7.7 to 5.0. That is full reversal. I don't care if people don't love that term, but as long as you're keeping up the lifestyle changes or using our tools, it is reverse. I mean, Catherine's a good example of that. Okay, so let me go on and quit talking because I can get talking too long. I'm sorry. I get so excited. Aren't these results exciting? If this doesn't excite you, I don't know what to tell you. This is like, oh my gosh, really happening. But I love it. And I'm going to have to pin Dr. Esther over here so she can get to telling us about this knife you're bringing to a fist fight. I mean, I'm serious. You can keep struggling. You can. Now, some people do the lifestyle changes and they do them just fine. They do. But this adds to that for even those people like Dr. Dieter. But it helps the people who are like, I'm not doing dieting. Dieting sucks. So, right, Dr. Esther?
Okay, I was muted there. Yep, very true. So what are these tools that Dr. Tiffany's been talking about? What is this that Katherine found? And, I loved when Katherine was talking because you literally were the example of what I said as a physician. You start off with one medication and before you know it, you're on 4.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Now I ask myself, why? We were just controlling things, and obviously we weren't even doing a good job about controlling because we kept adding. You said you started on the metformin, then you got on Genovia. Your blood pressure medication was doubled, then your cholesterol was still going up.
Getting worse and worse.
Yeah, in spite of this medications, people are getting worse. And so, something's got to give. And if we ask ourselves really, what is the point of what we are doing, then you've got to really ask, are we really getting to where we want? But now that I asked myself that question, and I found the answer, the Feel Great system. We combine this with a habit. So the Feel Great system is products. We combine this with the habit of time-based eating, and we have the Feel Great protocol. The Feel Great system is 2 products, which are clinical grade food, also called nutraceuticals. And I say that because people are always asking, is this going to interact with my medications? Is this going to do this? Do you eat food? Does it interact with your medications? If food does not interact with your medications, this will not. So 2 food-based products, clinical grade activity. We combine this with the science of time-based eating, which is narrowing your eating window to about 8 to 10 hours so that you're fasting for about 14 to 16 hours. That's the ideal. But if you're just starting, you start with 12 and keep pushing it as you get comfortable. And so together they form this simple, sustainable protocol. Again, I love the fact that Katherine has said 43 months. You know, she's been on this. It's sustainable. How many diets do you know that people have been on for 43 months? It's usually just 4 weeks, 6 weeks. And by the time you're done with that, you don't want to hear about any other diet, you know? But, and you know, Miss Katherine said that. She didn't want to hear about any other diet. She was okay with feeling all the aches and pains just so that she didn't need to go on another diet. But this is not a diet. It is not a program. It is basically a lifestyle change. So what are these products? The first one is an ultra-concentrated tea that is made from the yerba mate plant, a plant that grows in South America. And we call this Unimate. Unimate because it's Unicity is a company, mate from the yerba mate plant. That's what it's called, the Unimate. What does this tea do? We take this tea while we are fasting. It helps us not have cravings. It helps us not feel hungry. And therefore, you're able to do that time-based eating that I talked about. Because when you're insulin resistant, your body is just craving food. And you're really fighting against that hunger to try and do that time-based eating. Now, this tool, this knife, makes that fight easier. Because when you're drinking something that's making you not crave carbohydrates, not crave sweets, not feel hungry, then you're already winning the battle. It also promotes fat burning. Naturally, when we are fasting, our body should be switching to fat burning. Well, that's something you've lost when you're really insulin resistant, but this helps jumpstart that. So you're now burning fat. That's lipolysis. It also increases endurance and stamina. If you're working out, if you're trying to just get a mile in, this will help you. It will boost that energy and it will help you get there. It boosts energy. That's a fast thing almost everybody talks about, is how they just felt like they, you know, somebody injected this, you know, energy into them, and it's energy that lasts through the day. But, you know, it also boosts your mood. So it makes you feel good. It's not energy which makes you feel like you're wired. No, this is calm energy, which is, you know, what we need. It helps with weight management efforts because of all those things, making you feel full and promoting fat burning. It also helps increase your GLP-1 production. Now, we've heard of GLP-1s. We've probably heard of them in form of the shots, the Wegovy pill and everything. But did you know that GLP-1 is actually a hormone that you already produce in your gut? And now what you want to do is it just boosts the production. And why this tea does not have the side effects that when you get a shot you do get is because this is your own body's natural one. It's not a clone like what is in the shots. So this is very, very key in how this works. As I said, we take this, you can take it any time of the day. We have, most of them are caffeinated. We do have decaf versions, so you don't have to worry about taking it later in the evening. Now we do have the decaf versions. If caffeine is not something you want, you can get that. You can take this at any temperature, hot or cold, ice, whatever temperature works for you. And it will do all those good things that I talked about. The other product is the fiber, which is what we do. which is what we call the balance. So what this fiber is, it's a blend of 7 different insoluble and soluble fibers, which are blended in just the perfect ratio that you need to feed your gut microbiome, which again, gut health is so key to metabolic health. You cannot have metabolic health with poor gut health. You've got to have both good glucose control and good gut health to claim you have good metabolic health. So you can't neglect one. And this makes sure that you do have that. It feeds your gut microbiome, making sure what needs to thrive at any particular time is what's thriving, and what doesn't need to thrive is squashed. It will help curb your appetite because it's fiber. When you take this, then you don't feel as hungry. So it helps you stay longer in between meals. We always say when we talk about time-based eating, other than that long break from food, we need to at least have at least 4 to 5 hours in between meals during your eating window. You don't want to graze all through the 8 hours of your eating window. So this helps you with that. It helps block, or rather reduce, carbohydrate and cholesterol absorption. Ms. Katherine talked about the changes in her A1c, the reversal of diabetes, the reversal of her cholesterol, her hyperlipidemia. This plays a big role in that you actually reduce how much of it you absorb. You don't get glucose spikes with this because of that reduction in absorption, the slowing down of that absorption. You're not getting glucose spikes. And therefore, if you're not getting a glucose spike, you don't get an insulin spike. The University of Sydney studied that particular property and found that it actually stunts that glucose spiking by up to about 40%. So you can imagine if your blood sugar was supposed to go up by 100 and it only goes up by 60, that's already a big win. It means your insulin is not going to go as high. It's also been studied by the Cleveland Clinic. And what they found is that if this product is taken consistently, it has the potential to reduce cardiovascular risk on a population level, and therefore decrease the need or the dose for lipid-lowering medications. And that is, the statins, like the atorvastatin that Katherine was taking. So you can imagine a medication that causes all these aches and pains that you have to have another one, the Voltaren gel, to try and ease the pains and probably go for massages and use Epsom salt baths and all these are things that you have to do. And now Miss Katherine doesn't have to do them. And I'm sure if you're not achy, you're probably in a better mood. So, yeah. These two products work very well together. We take the balance as a pre-meal drink. As you hear, what it does is that it is a fiber. So by taking it as a pre-meal drink, it basically makes every meal that you're taking have fiber in it. And we say increase fiber in your diet. Well, this is an easy way to do that. Have the fiber in your diet. You take it about 5 to 10 minutes before your heaviest meal of the day or the most carbohydrate heavy meal of the day. Usually we say start with 1. And because this is fiber, for most people, when you start taking a lot of fiber, many of us do not even get the necessary amount of fiber every day. When you start taking this, you may have some bloating, you may have some constipation. So you want to go easy with this. When you're used to this, the people who actually take 2 fibers a day, 2 packs of fiber, 1 with each meal, and therefore, again, you're ensuring that you have fiber with each of your meals. You want to mix this with cold or room temperature water or just lukewarm water, because if you mix it with hot water first, you won't be able to gargle it down, which is what you need to do, because it starts thickening when you put it in water. So how do we take it? As I said, we are narrowing our eating window, and the best way to do that is utilize the fasting that you're already doing overnight. You're not eating at night, so just extend that. In the morning, you skip breakfast, and you have the tool to help you not feel hungry. That's the tea. So you sip on your tea. You don't want to drink it too quickly. You just want to sip on it very slowly. Then before lunch, your fast meal, which is now your breaking of your fast meal, you can take a balance, or if you're just eating a protein, fiber, fat heavy without any carbohydrate, you probably don't need to take it then. And then you do another tea in the afternoon. which especially when you're starting, you're still going to have that itis, feeling a bit sleepy because you still have a lot of insulin that you're trying, this is what you're trying to get rid of. So this tea is going to help you stay up, alert, focused in the afternoon, keep that blood sugar low. Then you take your balance. Most of us will take it before dinner. And then after dinner, that's it. You don't drink anything else. I mean, you don't eat anything else. You can drink as much water, which is actually advised. When you're taking all this fiber, you want to make sure you're staying very well hydrated. What makes these products different? The quality of the products. The company does their own in-house quality control. Then we have over 25 clinical studies. They're nutraceutical, so not having any medication interactions. You don't have the side effects like you get from medications. You have them in now over 65 countries. They're patented, and that guarantee that Katherine talked about. The company believes in its product so much, and I dare you to tell me which medication you've ever seen has a money-back guarantee. This company will give you all your money back, no questions asked, if you show that you have used the product consistently for 90 days and you did not get any results. We now have a tracking app, which not only it's not just tracking what you put in, but it actually helps with support, gives you guidance on what to do, gives you a lot of recipe ideas. But this just tells you that they know that what they're putting out there is not just a gimmick. It is something that works. And that's why they give you that money back guarantee. So if you know any medication that has ever told you any drug company that is giving a money back guarantee, please put it in the chat. We'll talk about it afterwards. So these two products, when you take them, what they're doing is keeping you, when it comes to your glucose and your insulin, in the fat burning zone. That's what we say in the protocol there. You're on the fat burning zone. And when you're not on the protocol, you're staying in the fat storing and all the other damage that Dr. Tiffany talked about. All that other damage happens when you're in that fat storing zone. It's not just fat storing, there's all that other damage that happens. Again, the in-house scientists, third-party certifications, clinical studies, ingredients sourced directly from farmers. So there's also that on-the-ground support. And as Dr. Tiffany already went through, there are many, many people who are getting helped by these products. The question is, when will you come on here and tell us your story? When will your picture, when will your story be one of the ones that we're talking about? When will someone you love, when will you help them change their story? That's my challenge to you.
Challenge accepted. Yes. Love it, love it, love it. So thank you so much, Dr. Esther, because we needed that breakdown. We need to understand how these products work. You did a great job doing that. And so if we have any questions, here is the time to ask some questions while you have two medical doctors who are crazy enough to be on here. This is the time you might want to go on and make some good use of it. We're not going to hold you long, but if you have any questions, this is the time. And then we're also going to get our Miss Katherine, because she got to sing us this jingle before we go. But before that,
I thought you were kidding.
Absolutely not. I mean, a full song. I wish I had the video too. I got to get that video from Coach because it is too cute.
John did a remix on it. It's really awesome. So it's not
really?
Yeah, John did a remix. You should see it. Yeah, he had some AI in there. Yeah,
I gotta see that. Well,
I'll send it to you. How about that? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please
Yeah.
do.
No
Great.
problem. All right. Thank you for letting me share my story, ladies.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
If we don't have any questions, we're gonna let we should let Miss Katherine sing us out with her song. But let's say a couple parting words. Yeah, well, Dr. Esther, you want to close us?
Yes, and well, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us. We appreciate that. We ask that you continue passing this information to everyone. Dr. Tiffany gave you all a challenge at the beginning of this. By next Wednesday, please invite 5 people, 5 different people to come on to this call. Because as you can hear, when people's lives are changed, you can't stop talking about it. So be the catalyst to help people change their lives. So invite them over. And more importantly, take the challenge yourself. If you're on here and you haven't employed these tools, or you're still on the fence thinking about it and thinking about the next diet, you really have nothing. Well, no, you do have something to lose, the diseases. You do have weight to lose. And so there is something to lose, but in it, you're actually gaining your health back. So there's just a lot to gain, your health back. And that's more important than anything else. And there's a money back guarantee. So, you're covered. I can tell you won't get your money back because you'll have the results, but hey, at least it's nice to know that. So thank you so much. And if there are no questions, let me see if we have anything on there.
I don't see anything. So I think we just have to end with Miss Katherine singing us the Unimate jingle.
Y'all ready?
Take us home. Take us home.
Starting my day with Unimate. Starting my day with Unimate. Start my day with lemon Unimate. And I throw the flavors in there. Start my day with lemon Unimate. So that's what I said. John took it and then he jazzed it up. He remixed it. You got to see the remix. I will send that to you. But mine's is just basic. I just had to do a jingle because I grew up listening to jingles. Every commercial had a jingle. So when I saw this, I'm like, this needs a jingle. So it's just me, but yeah, I love it. So definitely check out my page. Y'all can see the jingle in better. But thank you all again.
You're welcome. And people asked, you're perfect. I love it. Thank you, Miss Katherine. Thank you, everybody who came on. Yes, these calls are every Wednesday. And I will have this replay up on my YouTube channel, and it'll be in some groups to where you can actually see it. So starting my day with Unimate.
You got it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you. You have a great night. And next Wednesday, we'll catch you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.